Okay, we're live. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 197 of the Security Podcast on the In30 Network. I am Haim Cohen. Tom's there. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
So, we're literally recording this minutes after the other one, but we want to have a nice December and good holidays. So you're hearing this. I'm going to push them out at the same time, but we're probably going to take the rest of the year off, which is like another week and a half after that anyway. But today, we just had so much news in the last week. We said, you know what, we can do another show. So if you've heard, we want to talk about two things. First off, the bunch of breaches that happened in the last few days that are significant in size, may not be that terrible for you, but are significant in size. And Bruce Schneier posted a really good article of what we talk about almost weekly, of just bad consumer security advice. And just things that everyone says to do, but are not really practical. So we'll get there. But the first thing we want to talk about is all these breaches. So I guess the big ones are Marriott, right? 500 million accounts.
Yep.
Dunkin Donuts. I don't know how big of a that was, but I got a letter. And Quora. I don't know. Do we use Quora anymore?
I didn't know anyone used Quora anymore, but yeah, that was breached.
And Sennheiser is breaching consumer records by putting rootkits in and everything else. But the thing that bothers me the most is that nothing's happening. So if you remember, we talked about last year, Equifax, which actually didn't steal, but their business is aggregating all this data, loses all of it. The person's convicted of insider trading, but yet nothing happens. They get a slap on the wrist from Congress, like, this was bad. How did you do it? And that's it. And they go away, and you still have to use them for your mortgages, for your credit cards, for all this, but nothing happened. And they're basically telling the consumer, well, that's the cost of doing business. So that really gets to me.
Yeah, these big companies most of the time will have these breaches. Nothing will happen. They'll pay for some like free credit monitoring for a year in the best of cases, which, by the way, depending on what company they pick, doesn't actually do much, if anything. And we try not to heavy-handedly rag on companies too much, but I can say that LifeLock is literally the worst product I was ever granted use of due to a data breach. I bought a car, moved apartments, started the process of buying a condo, and got some student loans, and I never got a call from them. So they were completely oblivious to my financial situation. And they asked me why I wasn't renewing, which, by the way, happens a lot. After your free year of credit monitoring ends, they will ask you and call you and beg you to renew for hundreds of dollars, or however much it is per year. Yeah, nothing actually happens.
And with all of this, you have to actually sign up for it. And
yeah,
and again, I think the problem becomes is that it doesn't hurt anyone. And we say this as we should be more offended by it, but how many data breaches do you have? You once a week you get an email, or change this password, change that password. At some point you become numb to it, and you just sit there and you say, fine, whatever. There is not that much data there. My address is already out there. It's public record. What's the difference here? What's the difference there? And people are just like, you tell somebody and they go, who hasn't been breached? The problem is that this is not okay. And you find out what they've done for security-wise, and you realize that they literally did nothing. Like, nothing happened. So Marriott bought Starwoods. I'm looking for it now. They bought a different company, and that was the company that was leaking stuff. The problem is it's not just your name and your address and your phone number, but they had a lot of your passport number. A lot of hotels allow you to leave your passport number.
Yep.
Instead of showing it. That's pretty identifiable. Your address, okay, so they start sending you spam and everything. I don't think they got social security numbers, but probably some credit card numbers.
Yeah, payment information. They did say that the payment information was encrypted, but they cannot guarantee that it wasn't decrypted after it was stolen. So yeah, keep an eye on your bank statements and your credit card statements.
And literally, as we record this, Bethesda, that's not the city in Maryland. That's some sort of like game company.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm having trouble with my mute button tonight. But yes, Bethesda is a game company that put out a big online Fallout game, Fallout 76, that's getting absolutely creamed in the reviews, and you shouldn't buy it because it's just a mess. Apparently, Bethesda support has leaked Fallout 76 customer names, addresses, and phone numbers. So to add onto the pile of technical shenanigans and half-broken video games, you've now got a data breach on your hands. That situation over there just keeps getting funnier. Really glad I didn't buy that.
So again, we're talking about Marriott, where executives are staying and everything else, and the hotels. The problem with this is that I literally think nothing will come of this. I think absolutely nothing. You are not going to boycott Marriott like at all. Like you're just not going to do that. If they're the cheapest, that's where you're going to stay. Same thing with airlines. You're not going to fly out of a non-hub just so you can say you felt righteously better about yourself. So the problem is that this is just becoming so commonplace that this is the evening news, and people are just throwing it out. My dad, my parents, who are really tech illiterate or not tech savvy, are just whatever. They'll figure it out anyway. I'll get another free year of credit monitoring. The credit card's not going to charge me. That's the problem. There's no accountability. So if the credit cards started seeing fraud based on that, they should absolutely sue the breach and say, hey, look, our insurance covers our problems. This is a you problem, which Target did get sued for, but I don't think anything Target's still there.
Yeah. So the Marriott breach is a pretty nasty one in particular, because it turns out that it's a 4-year-old breach that's being discovered. When Marriott bought Starwood, it turns out they didn't do very much, if any, cybersecurity due diligence, because this breach came with the company. 4 years. 4 years of persistent access, exfiltrating this data. It's details are still coming in about this. Initial reports are saying that might be China, but we're not sure. And one thing to keep in mind when reading any kind of attribution in the news about internet attacks or data breaches is that attribution on the internet is really hard, super difficult. Cybersecurity professionals whose job it is to figure out who did what say that attribution is a super hard job. It's not like you can just say, oh, well, this IP address is somewhere in China, so it's got to be China. That's not really how it works.
I was going to say, I'm tired of seeing it, and I think people are numb to this. So I don't know what the solution is other than doing better security, because you and I both know that the security people behind these companies are basically going to their boss all the time and screaming. You're hoping they're screaming and yelling, and the CEO says, how is this going to make us money? No. Is this going to get more customers? No. Is this going to make our lives harder? Yes. Will it cost money? Yes. And the answer is we're not doing it.
Yeah. Cybersecurity and making your company secure won't make you money, right? In the vast majority of businesses out there, having really good security is a cost to you without any real perceivable financial benefit. And even when breaches happen, just like you were saying, right? We're not going to boycott Marriott, right? When a company, or when I decide to go on vacation and Marriott says your room is super cheap compared to all these other places, I'm probably going to go to Marriott still. Should I? I don't know, but that's for my credit card company to figure out later. It's annoying, but you're exactly right. We've become absolutely numb to these breaches. And it, the effects on us, other than having to change passwords, and in the worst of cases, change credit card numbers, it doesn't really affect us too much yet. Does it have the ability to affect people? Does it have the ability to lead to really, really nasty cases of identity theft? Absolutely. but it's not common enough that people start screaming when Marriott dumps, 500 million people's records out on the internet.
Look, your records are leaked. My records are leaked. 500 million is a lot of people.
Yeah, everybody's records.
I think they said the active world population is something like 3 billion or 4 billion. So you're talking about 500 million people. I mean, that's 20% of everybody who is considered whatever they consider active. But
yeah,
it's the locked door problem. When you leave your house and you just forgot something and you locked your keys inside and you say, "Oh, I locked the door," and you're stuck and you're saying, "I just want to get in." So what you do is you start leaving the door unlocked, and then someone robs you and you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize this." It's that same thing. The last episode we talked about not requiring a signature. That requiring a signature is the safest way to never have to get your package stolen, but it's hugely inconvenient. So having to do all these and to go through all these hoops on both sides is a technical support nightmare. It causes you're going to have to hire a whole team, or you can say, let me just take my chances. And unfortunately, people are taking their chances, and it looks like for the companies, it's paying off.
Yeah.
So
we're starting to see some change thanks to the GDPR, where things will start to be reported faster, and that's a good thing. I honestly do believe that the US, especially with our our massive sector of tech companies leading the charge on the internet, we absolutely need better breach laws, better privacy laws, better data handling laws. I know people have talked about, what if we had a law that limits the amount of data a company can keep on you, and they have to have a valid business reason for doing so. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of ways to skirt around that law, but I think it's better than nothing. And the companies that do take this to heart and say, look, we're going to keep, a year of user tracking data on you before we throw it away. That's better than what exists today, where anyone can take any amount of data and store it for however long they want, just because. We need some kind of top-down solution because the companies aren't doing it themselves.
So Tom, do you have Dunkin Donuts by you?
I don't. It kills me because, so I live in Seattle, the home of Starbucks, and there's a Starbucks by my estimation, every 6 feet, there's a Starbucks.
Are they all busy?
Yeah, they are. And from a pure coffee perspective, I love getting dessert at Starbucks. Any of their specialty coffees, those are just desserts. But straight up black coffee, not a fan of it. It's burnt, it's over roasted, it's got this weird ashes of a campfire taste to it. Dunkin Donuts, on the other hand, decent coffee and not expensive. Also, I've never been in a busy Dunkin Donuts.
Oh, we have your Starbucks, we have that here. But anyway, the point is, Dunkin Donuts sent me a letter. We're sorry, your data was exfiltrated. You, not us, but you, the consumer, should put fraud alerts out. You, the consumer, should do this. You, the consumer, should do that. And what makes it particularly annoying is that they fight you to add money on. So they have their own payment method. So you get the QR code and it scans, it deducts money from some account. They have the auto reloading feature. They have all these things to make the mobile ordering, which they require payment to have with all the money on it, all this stuff. And here they're saying, "Oh, we lost your data. You deal with it." And that drives me nuts because why can't you give me the points if I pay with a credit card? Who really cares? And the answer is they want the lock-in of keeping you in the app. And if there's a Dunkin Donuts versus not a Dunkin Donuts, you can say, hey, well, the money's already there. All I got to do is hold the phone up to the screen, they scan it, and that's it, rather than having to fish out cash, fish out a credit card, do all this other stuff. And it's just really annoying that this is financial information that now they're leaking. It wasn't just like my favorite donut.
Yeah. And, what impact is this company going to see, right? They paid to send you a letter. They paid to send a bunch of people letters, but are they even going to give you any free points or?
No, like not
No?
even like a drink or like we're sorry. I should have checked it.
Sorry, they should have like given you like a donut and a coffee for free or something. They're just
Well, Dunkin'
sorry.
Donuts apparently just dropped the donuts, so they're no longer donuts.
Oh, they're just Dunkin'.
They're just Dunkin'. So
Okay.
so whatever. But again, yeah, how about a free donut? How about a free small coffee? How about something free that no one will like order?
You have collected all of my data. You have leaked it to the world, and I don't get anything for this. You're getting how much value out of me being locked into your app, and then you leak the payment details all over the internet. What do I get in return for this? And
Like,
apparently, the answer is nothing.
I mean, you might as well sell the data at this point so I can get my free coffee. By the
Yeah.
way, now that it's lost, we sold the data just enough to get you a free coffee. I'm even better with that.
Yeah, like, well, as long as it's out there, we might as well sell it. I'd be like, okay, that's kind of shady, but I'm getting a donut, so yeah, six of one, half dozen of the other. It's a donut joke.
So, and then finally, Quora, which I never used, which I resent because when you first go to the Quora site, you get halfway through the answer to the really important question that you're asking. And then it says, if you want to see the rest, sign up for an account. So they
Yeah.
force you to sign up.
Yep.
And they either make you use Facebook or Twitter or Google or have your I don't know if they make you use your email, but they make you sign up for it, which is also really annoying because I don't want to. I just want the answer.
It's shady. It's a growth hack. It's a way to get people in, and it's very shady. I don't like it, but what I do like is Quora's response to being breached. It's actually really nice to see. Can't believe I'm saying that about a breach. But they said, hey, like on Monday or Tuesday, right? It's like 3 or 4 days. They said, hey, look, we got hacked. We spilled a bunch of data like 3 or 4 days ago. So we're letting you know now. We're still doing the investigation, but here's probably what was taken. And we'll let you know what to do, after we figure out some more details, right? They came out right out front and said it. They didn't beat around the bush. They said, here's the technical details. We have per user salts on each of your passwords. They're probably using something like bcrypt, which is, state of the art industry standard crypto to store passwords. They are handling this breach great. They're handling this breach, at the very top of the ways you can handle a security incident. These guys are the ones to look at. These guys are the ones to copy, right? It's annoying. It's terrible that they did leak user data, but the way they're responding to the incident is top notch. By far one of the best responses I've seen in a long time.
I mean, they don't have any real data. That's the other thing. Like where Dunkin' Donuts had actual data, they're just like, hey, we basically have your past questions and your browsing history as it pertains to Quora. But the problem is that they use the same line. You should change your passwords on the sites that you use this same password on, which is going to get into our next topic. But that's a problem because that's a lot of sites for most people. For most people, that is literally that's their one password, and now they have to change it 100 times or 200 times. And the problem is they're not going to do it. So this just gets worse.
Yeah. This is also why having a password manager isn't like it isn't just a good idea. It's basically necessary to exist on the internet today. We have seen 3+ breaches this week in 7 days, right? We've seen a ton of breaches come out of the woodwork. Like, oh, hey, we lost your passwords, we lost your data, we lost your cat. Like this, using one password across the internet is untenable if you have to change it, every other day because somebody else has decided to leak it to the internet. Using completely randomized credentials for each and every site you visit is the only way to survive on the internet today.
So let's move. Is there anything more about these topics, password data breaches, or anything else before we move on?
Just want to call out Have I Been Pwned, PWNED.com. Have I Been Pwned? You throw in your email address. You don't have to sign up for an account. You hit pwned, ? And it says, no, Tom, you are pwned on 12 breach sites, but we found no pace with your information. And you can see exactly how you were breached, what companies leaked it, and any information that might have been leaked in that data breach. Like I've got Adobe on here, Dropbox, Kickstarter, Last.fm, Linux forums. There's a lot of stuff here. And I know that I've been compromised in this many ways. So having the information is better than not having the information.
And Have I Been Pwned is Troy Hunt. He used to work for Microsoft. Now he runs around consulting for security people. He is very well reputable. People are linking to him, so it's not like this fly-by-night site.
He's an absolute rock star, and I wholly recommend him without qualification. He's just great.
So that's the good thing. So now pivot. I don't want to say 180 degrees, but Bruce Schneier is our famous think tank security expert here, came out with a blog post basically titled Bad Consumer Advice. And basically the stuff that we talk about, we like to say, hey, wait a second, your uncle, your father, your grandfather, they're not going to do this. But again, you hear on the TV, this is what you should do. And instead of explaining how to do it, they just say, this is what you should do. And security people say, this is what you should do. And the problem is, it's not good for most people. Most people have, like we said, one password over the internet. They don't even read the security breaches, and they just go upon their lives. And when their credit card gets stolen, they call up the credit card, they get a new one, and they complain about it, but they will not change anything about it.
Yeah. This post is totally worth reading. I'm really, really happy after reading it that, Bruce is echoing a lot of the same things that we've complained about for a while on this show. Like VPNs. VPN is just moving the trust.
Well, let's start with the first one. So the first one is, we tell people, do not use unsecured Wi-Fi ever. Or we don't tell people, but you hear this. Never use coffee shop or unsecured Wi-Fi ever. Do not go to FBI surveillance van or cable Wi-Fi, because guess what? We all do it. If you need Wi-Fi, you need Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it happens. Now, do I do anything super important on public Wi-Fi? Do I use a VPN while on public Wi-Fi? Yeah, because I've got an easy access to a VPN that I've set up at my house. But do I recommend to someone, like, if I see my buddy connecting to Panera's open free Wi-Fi, do I say, oh wait, no, stop, you've got to sign up for this $60 a year VPN company or your computer will literally explode? No, that's pretty dumb advice, right? Now, if they get a big red window in Chrome or Firefox that says, hold on, partner, something's fishy here, tell them to back away. But open Wi-Fi is not safe, but it's not instant death for your computer. And, you don't need a VPN on open Wi-Fi, especially with more and more sites going to HTTPS, as long as you pay attention to browser warnings. Don't click through the big red scary screen and say proceed anyway.
Oh, Tom. Oh. So I'll continue. The second one, okay. The second one we're going to talk about is multi-factor. Tom, are you there? You're muted.
I think we might have connection issues.
All right, well, let's continue. Well,
let me go ahead and refresh this.
Oh, I see you moving your head.
I am here.
We're still recording though, so
Okay.
well,
I've set Hangouts to very low, so we'll see if we can proceed this way.
I'll cut this out. I'll probably just take the Hangout audio at this
All
point.
right.
All right, number 2, it was claim your identity. If you have a social security number, go to the SSA.gov site and first have a social security number if you don't have one, but claim your identities. This is actually good advice. So I don't understand why they're putting it under bad advice, but I heard this recently. The post office now has see your mail before it gets delivered to you. So they will scan your mail, which they do anyway, and you can do it. And the idea is that you want to claim your address, claim your domain, claim your Twitter handle, claim all these identifiers of you before somebody else gets them. So you want to do that. Like you want to claim the USPS version of like sending you your mail virtually, so somebody else doesn't magically grab it through the million of identity thefts that we just spoke about. You can read that. The third one, this is a big one, adding multi-factor to all your accounts. So we talk about a lot about multi-factor, but we also tell you it's not for everybody. Be ready if you're going to do it right. If you're not going to do it, it's probably not the best thing. So if you can't do either a YubiKey or a time-based one with Google Authenticator or whatever else, the SMS-based ones are basically useless at this point. In fact, they're probably damaging if you want to get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Email-based or SMS-based two-factor authentication is probably not the best way to go. If it's the only thing that a site is offering, though, it's better than nothing. I have plenty of SMS-based two-factor authentication for sites that just don't support anything else, and it's honestly a shame. They should. Google Authenticator is super easy to implement. It is absolutely open source. It is free. But some sites just don't do that.
I told Tom a story right before the show that this big company I have a time-based two-factor with, and when I call the customer support, they don't ask me for that. They say we're going to SMS the phone number on record, which I think I actually do like. I'd rather read them the time-based code, but if you're SIM swapping, and you're doing it right, you may not be able to have that phone on record. It may be a different phone or whatever else. So that's at least better, where they put you on the spot saying, hey, we're going to SMS you this code. But SMS two-factor, we've already shown is completely broken, but it is useful in very certain cases.
Yeah, it's going to be better than no two-factor authentication. But if you have the option to use something like a YubiKey or Google Authenticator or Authy, or some sites even have their own native apps. I would absolutely use anything like that over SMS.
The big problem is that trying to explain two-factor to people it's very simple, but they just won't use it if they're not in that mindset. So we don't want to say turn it on for everything. It just takes us into the next step, which deals with passwords. I mean, he's talking about make big passwords, and we're absolutely on board with that. Make big passwords. Don't you change your passwords, do all this. But what they tell you to do is make passwords that you can never remember. That's probably not the best answer. Just make them long and not something in a dictionary or nothing that somebody can get you, like your dog's name or your mother's maiden name or anything like that.
And don't reuse them. Password reuse, as we've seen with, the myriad of breaches that have happened this week, right? Your passwords will leak. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if you're using the same, even long, complex password across all of your accounts, you're gonna get breached. There's gonna be password reuse, and they're gonna attack not only the account that they breached, but every other account that's got your same username, email address, and password.
So when it comes to security questions, the problem with the security questions is that you want to be truthful so you don't forget. maybe try and create some sort of mechanism. So if somebody says, "What's your first car?" you can respond with my first car was like that's your phrase. My first car was a Ford. My first car was a Chevy. My first car was a Pinto. So they have to type the whole thing without spaces. Just something that you will always remember to do, but they won't. And maybe putting that in your password manager as a completely random nonsense answer will take you further. But again, you have to remember this, and you have to tech support this with your family and friends who are not tech savvy.
And I'm actually gonna go back on some of my previous advice. I used to use, big, long, randomly generated like 64 character strings for my secret answer. And I've had one customer service agent that was just fantastic. I called them. I said, "Hey, I'm having trouble. I think I'm locked out of my account." And they said, "Okay, what's the answer to this question?" And I said, "It's huge and random." And on the other line, she said, "Well, you're going to have to read it to me because I needed to validate your identity." And I said, "Okay, thank you, by the way. I will read this." And I read a 64 character random string, right? It was annoying for both of us, but it kept me secure. That same company, I had a lot of issues with this company, but that same company, when I called and I said, "Oh, it's this big, long, random thing," they said, "Yeah, that looks about right." And he passed me on through without asking for the question. So it might be helpful for the customer service agent if you did have actual nonsense answers, like real phrases, words, sentences that don't make any sense to the question. What was your first pet? Chevy Malibu, 1967, right? That makes no sense whatsoever, but it will help the support person answer or be able to challenge the question properly. You might not have, or you might avoid the risk of, just saying, "Oh, it's some random thing," and having somebody sneak past.
And again, we tell you unique things. We do absolutely recommend a password manager, whichever one you want. I mean, some sort of mechanism that will always take down the passwords. Our favorite is LastPass. Tom really likes KeePass. 1Password if you're on the Mac and want to pay per device. Dashlane's really expensive. I mean, even the Chrome password manager is probably good enough. I mean, we're talking about for the average person who doesn't want to deal with any of this, just hitting remember. The problem with the Firefox manager is that you have to use Firefox on your phone and on your iPad and everywhere else. Same thing with Chrome. So some sort of cross-platform password manager is probably your best option.
Yeah, as far as ease of use, a new user experience, something that I could probably teach my mom or grandmother to use. LastPass is really easy. I would recommend wholly against KeePass for anyone who's not technically savvy. It's super powerful. You can customize it. There are plugins. I really love my KeePass setup, but I would never give it to an average user or anyone less than a true power user on an operating system because there are too many buttons. It looks complex. It looks scary. LastPass doesn't look scary. It's very approachable. It's very usable.
We got two more, and we're running out of time. Bruce Dyer says that he's a big fan of security freezes on your your credit report. I don't know if that's the best for the average person. Credit freezes are awesome, especially if you're in the point of life where you're not getting a car, you're not getting credit. You can do this because you do it, and then when you're going to get a car, they say, "Oh, we're freezing it." It's very inconvenient, but at least you understand what that means. I'm more of once a year you get your free credit reports, and I would stagger them every 4 months, and every 4 months check a different service, or check them all three at the end of the year, but check them. And if you have any discrepancies, you have a whole basically year to solve them and continue on from there. So if you like to do credit freezes, yes. Check your credit report, yes.
Yeah, keeping an eye on your credit report in the freezes, it's just good advice. Yeah, it takes some time. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's good advice.
And the last one is he says, don't plug into any, what's it called? Any outlets at the airport or any outlets there. Everyone does it.
I wish Schneier here. Yes, there have been theoretical academic attacks using power outlets to exfil, transmit, or exfil or transmit data. But if you're plugging a charger into an outlet and you are not the target of a nation state level actor, no one's attacking you through a power outlet. Like, a plug away. Now, don't randomly plug your phone into various USB ports that you'll find laying around everywhere. But outlets are fine. Charge your phone. Top up that battery. Lithium ion loves being topped up. Just like charge that thing to 100% and try to keep it there.
What's better yet is to get like a surge protector, one of those 3-outlet surge protectors, so you can help you and your 3 other neighbors. They will become your best friend.
Yeah, the best way to make friends at an airport, carry a power strip.
So it's anyway. So the problem is that you hear these things on the evening news, just recapping, and some of them are good, like long passwords, all this. Everyone says this. Never open an attachment. Never, ever, 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 ever open an attachment. And that's not good advice because you have to open attachments. It's more of make sure you know who sent it, with a simple response of, hey, what's this? Or did you just send this? Or some sort of thing that the person will have to read and understand. But to give these never always things is never good advice. And people won't listen to them. And if you've never been in a position of tech support, it's great to say one thing, but having to tech support it and explain it to people is another thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said.
So, again, LastPass has been both the greatest thing that I've shown to my dad and also the absolute worst thing I've shown to my dad. And overall, it's been a net positive, but it's just I have to troubleshoot it. So I have to recommend things that are simple to use and that I understand and that I would use. And I can't get all high and mighty on the security because I'm the one who has to do it. Imagine explaining to my dad that he needs his phone literally every single time. He'll find a way to turn it off. And then he gets hacked, and then it's my job. So I have to find him ways to solve these problems the easiest way possible. With that said, I think we're over. So we will probably end up, I'll cut this up. It'll be a little long. But anyway, have a nice holiday, and we will see you probably in the new year.
Yeah. See everyone. And join the WhatsApp group.
Yes, just find us. We will put you in. Have a good night. Bye.
See ya.